Advanced option. First, click to Finger Biometric Terminal and double-click on Setup FingerTec Terminals. You may access to advanced settings to configure basic options in your FingerTec reader. Click the Advanced Settings in FingerTec Terminal setting. Now you will have a new dialog page, which is the Advanced Settings. Click the Get Settings button. The TCMS V2 will start to download settings from Reader and display here. Click OK. After downloading, you will find Terminal ID, Model of FingerTec device, description that indicates the location of the reader, Pulling host IP that allows you to download data from the reader. For example, when FingerTec device is hooked up into a network environment, users should put the IP address of the computer that is used to control the FingerTec reader. Once the computer has this pulling host IP, it can download data from the reader. Ignore it if you are using RS-232 or RS-485 as connection method. Baud rate. This will allow you to change the baud rate here if you're using RS-232 or RS-485 as connection method. Connection. This will allow you to change the communication method used by your reader. Communication key. This is a key for reader to communicate with TCMS V2. Always leave this value to 0. No attendance record. Click on this checkbox if you do not want reader to record attendance data during user's verification at this reader. Once chosen, the particular reader will not record any attendance transaction data during verification, which means that this reader can only be used for door control and no attendance transaction data will be required. Language. This will allow you to change the displayed language for your reader. Date format. You can choose the date format displayed on the reader. Voice. You may disable the voice of the reader by choosing N in this option. One-to-many threshold. This value represents the total number of points which are captured by the sensor during verification, one-to-many matching. You may change it between 0 to 50. It is recommended to keep it as 45. If there are a lot of users and cannot verify successfully, you may change it to not less than 35. One-to-one threshold. This value represents the total number of points which are captured by the sensor during verification, one-to-one matching. You may change the value between 0 to 50. It is recommended to keep it as 15. If a lot of users cannot verify successfully, you may change it to not less than 35. Only one-to-one. You may change your reader to one-to-one matching mode, where users need to key in their user ID, then sensor will capture their fingerprints for verification. Idle minute. When the reader is not in use, you can specify a time period for the reader to be into sleep mode or power off mode. Idle action. You can configure your reader to go into sleep mode or power off when it is not in use during a specified time. Lock delay. You can change the timer for the magnetic lock to be effective. Please remember the maximum value is 250, which is 5 seconds. For example, you may key in the value of 200 if you want the lock delay to be 4 seconds. Key in value 150 for 3 seconds, or 100 for 2 seconds. Or key in value equal to 50 for 1 second lock delay. Wiegand format. You can choose the Wiegand output format if you're using a Wiegand model. Sleep time. You may put a time for the reader to go into sleep mode automatically. Power off time. You may put a time for the reader to turn off automatically. Power on time. You may put a time for the reader to power on automatically. SDK version. This shows the version of SDK used by your reader. Firmware version. This shows the version of firmware used by your reader. You may request the firmware file to be upgraded from your resellers. Administrators. This shows the total number of administrators stored in the reader. User. This shows the total number of users stored in the reader. Fingerprints. This shows the total number of fingerprint templates stored in the reader. Passwords. This shows the total number of password users stored in the reader. User log. This shows the total of transaction logs stored in the reader. If you want to change the date format displayed, move your arrow to the date format and click. Now choose the format desired. Then click the Set Settings button to upload changes to your reader. After clicking Set Settings, TCMS V2 will upload the changes to the reader, and this might take a few seconds. Once finished, there is a dialog box appearing with words Process Complete. You may click the OK button to continue. If you want to reset your reader back to default factory setting, click on the Default Setting button. TCMS V2 will restore all options back to default. You may now click the Set Settings button if you want to upload changes to reader. Click OK button to continue. You can also click on the Update Firmware button to upgrade your firmware version of your reader. Remember, you must request the new firmware file from your resellers before you can upgrade the firmware version. Click Close button. Click Close again to leave the menu. Now click Close button.